Coming up, one city's ban on source of income discrimination could be undone by the legislature.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Tonight, the Kentucky Senate passed a bill that would prevent local governments from implementing a ban on source of income discrimination. That's when renters pay using government assistance for housing. Jeremy Toms was in the chamber tonight as House Bill 18 passed.
5 days ago, Lexington City Council voted overwhelmingly to say that tenants cannot be discriminated against based on where their money comes from.
And those duly elected council people did so because they were trying to address a major problem in their community, which was affordable housing.
On Tuesday in Frankfort, the Republican-led Senate moved quickly to put that ordinance in jeopardy.
What's happening in Lexington is discrimination against the free market and men and women who are in the business of being landlords and renting property.
Majority Floor Leader Damon Thayer believes what Lexington did flies in the face of the Constitution. His Democratic counterparts disagree.
If there was an issue that it said that you had to accept sex offenders and you had to accept people with eviction and everything, then you're right, that would be an overstep. That's just not what we have here.
Minority Floor Leader Gerald Neal noted these bans had bipartisan support in both cities. 5 Republicans joined them in voting no on the floor, but House Bill 18 cleared the Senate by a 25-11 margin, leaving the legislature with one hurdle before they undo Lexington's latest effort.
The left-wing liberals on city councils are trying to force landlords into taking below market. You better believe this is a response to what they're doing in Lexington.
In Frankfort, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
House Bill 18 now returns to its original chamber for a concurrence vote. It will then move to the governor's desk.
Well, the forecast does not change much as we go into this evening as high pressure is once again in control. Let's take a live look at first alert pinpoint Doppler. And as you can see, all thanks to high pressure, we are dry tonight under a clear sky. So as a result, those temperatures are once again going to be chilly as you wake up on Wednesday. Most of us right now in the 30s and 40s, up to 47 for Pikeville and Jackson, 37 for Harlan and Hazard, and down to 33 for Manchester, also in Middlesboro at this hour. And most of us are close to or below freezing as you wake up on Wednesday in the middle to lower 30s and possibly some upper 20s in those cooler pockets. So we are chilly as you walk out the door on Wednesday, but a copy and paste forecast is on the way tomorrow. All thanks to high pressure, we see some more sunshine, also some more dry and mild weather. Temperatures top out in the upper 50s and lower 60s, and be sure to enjoy the dry weather because we are watching out for that next rain and wind chance by Thursday. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. We have some new information tonight about an officer-involved shooting earlier this month. Kentucky State Police say 31-year-old Dylan Sutherland is facing 4 counts of attempted murder of a police officer. Troopers say Sutherland led London police officers and Laurel County Sheriff's deputies on a car chase, during which they say he fired a gun out of the window at the officers. The chase ended when Sutherland's car eventually crashed. Police say he then fired the gun at police again, but this time they began firing back. Troopers say Sutherland was eventually arrested and given first aid. He was taken to the University of Kentucky Hospital, and he is now at the Laurel County Correctional Center. A wanted man from Johnson County is behind bars after running from police again. This afternoon, officers with the Prestonsburg Police Department tried to pull over a car believed to be driven by this man, Thomas Price. They say Price then drove away and a chase went through portions of Prestonsburg. They were unable to find him until getting a call that Price was trying to get into homes and use a phone. Police eventually arrested Price after they say he broke into an elderly disabled woman's home to try and hide. He was taken to the Floyd County Jail. There are new arrests and charges in the deadly mass shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl celebration. Missouri prosecutors have charged 2 men, both in the hospital recovering from gunshot wounds, with murder in the shooting that killed a woman and injured 22 others. Authorities say the incident began with a verbal argument between Dominic Miller and Lindell Mays and quickly escalated when one of the suspects pulled a gun and began firing. These new suspects are in addition to the 2 juveniles who were detained on gun-related and resisting arrest charges last week. Prosecutors say even more charges are possible. Several communities are battling the spread of respiratory illnesses. Director of Infectious Disease at Appalachian Regional Healthcare and Mountain Comprehensive Health Corporation, Dr. Ferris Cotter, says they are battling 3 viruses at once, including COVID-19. Cotter says they do, however, have better technology to diagnose the virus.
We have good testing. We have the home test, which is available to everybody. And it's an antigen test. It's fast, 15 minutes you know you have it or not. Or in the clinic you can have what we call the PCR test, molecular testing. And that's what we do here in the clinic.
Dr. Cotter says early warning signs for possible infection are nasal congestion and a fever. Cotter is also my guest on this week's Issues and Answers, which you can find on our website. The Pike County Fiscal Court is opening its roads to adventure tourism. During today's fiscal court meeting, commissioners heard the second reading of an ordinance that would open some of the county roads to ATV use, connecting the hillbilly trails with some of the resources and accommodations riders have asked for. The ordinance will allow county roads to be added in as they fit the needs, but will not mean all ATVs are able to use the roads. There will be safety precautions and specifics that need to be followed.
Also, we can petition the Department of Transportation to allow off-highway vehicle on sections of state-maintained roadways. We make that petition to the Department of Transportation. They do their studies, and then they either allow or disallow a request for that section of highway.
The new county ordinance was adopted unanimously. A copy of that can be found on our website. SpaceX and Intuitive Machines launched a lunar lander mission last week, and it's set to land on the moon this Thursday. Alexa Minton stopped by the Morehead State Space Science Center to learn about Kentucky's role in the historic event.
A lunar lander is set to land on the moon a little later this week, and Morehead State University has played a huge role in making space history. Intuitive Machines launched their IM-1 mission last week on February 15th. The ship is called Odysseus, or Odie for short, and will be the first ship from the U.S. landing on the moon in over 50 years.
History actually is being made this week. It'll be the first time that a private company has launched a vehicle to the moon and landed on the moon.
The ship has already sent back stunning images while on its 239,000-mile trip, and a network referred to as the Lunar Data Network has been tracking the mission's progress. The network has locations tracking Odie all across the globe, including right here in the Bluegrass at the Morehead State Space Science Center.
We have a 21-meter deep space tracking station called NASA Deep Space Station 17. We are a node on the Intuitive Machines Lunar Data Network. It's the only non-NASA node on the NASA Deep Space Network. So we get to work with the government and with the private sector. That's what makes it fun for us.
Morehead State is responsible for tracking the system between the London and Japan offices, collecting and sending data to the lunar lander as it approaches the surface of the moon. The university has worked with building and tracking satellites many times before, but to see Kentucky play a role in space history is truly something out of this world.
Kentucky's been intimately involved since the very beginning. In fact, we were one of the very first nodes on the Lunar Data Network. So, you know, Kentucky has an integral role in the return to the moon, and we couldn't be prouder of it.
In Morehead, shooting for the moon, Alexa Minton, WKYT.
The Space Science Center is hosting a landing watch party that is open to the public Thursday evening. You can view the images of the moon as the lander touches base from the center's planetarium. The event will begin at 4 p.m. and the projected landing period is 5:49 p.m. One 7th grade basketball team in the mountains was crowned state champions during the weekend. The Hindman Elementary 7th grade boys basketball team defeated Ashland 50-43. The team returned home on Sunday with a police escort. The coaches say they could not be more proud of the team and their determination to bring the hardware home this year.
You hear a lot of coaches talk about having special kids and special talent, but when you look at these kids, they are truly special. A group of kids like this don't come along very often, and there's a lot of great players in Knott County, but for me, these kids are very special and they have a lot of talent.
When the players were asked about what was next for the team, they said they plan to bring the title home to Heinemann again next year. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, a historically wet start to the year on the West Coast as more flooding is possible.
Plus, one more dry day is on the way tomorrow. Your Wednesday forecast after this break.